Morning, guys. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's just up in front. This is episode 194 of Tottenham Walks, and it's April the 18th. It's Tuesday. I hope you're all happy and healthy, guys. Please do me a favour, as you always do. Smash the like button for me on the video. Smash the subscribe on the channel if you haven't. Drop a comment, let me know your thoughts. And whilst you're at it, hit the notification bell so you can see the next video first, as soon as it's released. Guys, again, not too much to talk about today apart from the kind of updates on the managerial merry-go-round. So yesterday afternoon, it kind of emerged that Vincent Kompany was the new favourite for the Tottenham job, and that talks were apparently scheduled between, or were going to be scheduled between the club and the manager, and that 70% of the board were okay and were excited by the prospect of a young, up-and-coming, talented, ambitious, aggressive, passionate and dedicated manager that Vincent Kompany represents, and that they were going to try and emulate the Mikel Arteta story from Arsenal, which I find it a little bit strange because I speak to a lot of Arsenal fans right now, and a lot of them that were Arteta out a year ago, that became Arteta in and were very happy with the season, are now seeing everything slip away from them, and in their words, some of their words, that they've sacrificed 3 trophies in the pursuit of coming second in the league results in a failed season, and that they're maybe moving back towards Arteta out again, which to me is astonishing. But then I have a different view to a lot of people on what is considered success or failure. I don't think that necessarily a season with a trophy dictates success and a season without one dictates failure, depending on the type of club that you are and what you're used to expecting. But for me, there is a middle ground. It's not binary. I think that progress can be seen as a good thing, even if there is no trophy, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. And I think Arsenal should be able to reflect on this season and see huge amounts of progress, and see, that there is a pathway and a clear vision that is emerging, and they should be very happy with the situation, if not frustrated by the outcome, if that makes sense. But with Tottenham, we couldn't be further from that. I think it's more opaque than ever, and the pathway to a trophy is so far away right now. Even in this season, when the variance of the cup competitions was never more favourable, we still screwed up. And so, yeah, listen, Vincent Kompany, however you want to describe him, whether he's an Arteta style project manager, whatever, I don't care if that's the way we're going to present the story. He'd be interesting to me. However, 30% of the managers of the board say they're not really comfortable with him. There's too much risk. He hasn't done it at the Premier League before. He's too wet behind the ears. And look, and there are, to their point, there are, a not too insignificantly small amount of stories of managers that had bright brands and reputations coming out of football that went and had relatively immediate success in lower leagues or in different leagues without the same competition, and everyone was chomping at the bit to give these guys the chance, and when they moved to the Premier League, they really struggled. We're seeing one of them back at Chelsea currently in the guise of Frank Lampard. Obviously Steven Gerrard as well has struggled despite his success in Scotland. So I understand the risk, according to that 30% or so of the board who are probably thinking about those stories and don't want to make the same mistake again, and would like a less risky option if there was one. But I would counter and say that there really isn't any managerial choice that doesn't come with some element of risk, a lot of risk. Even people like Julian Nagelsmann, who is my favourite for the job, or my first choice, and also would come with a certain amount of pedigree, and I think a lot of people would love to see him at Tottenham. He still has age risk. He's very young. He hasn't managed in the Premier League. There's lots of unknowns with him, and whether he'll be able to transfer and transition into a different style of football. The German league has every single team that somewhat plays kind of similar football. I don't want to put that stamp down and say it's all very repetitive. It's not, but the differences between the majority of the teams in the way that they set up and the way that they play is fairly minimal in comparison to the Premier League, that has a plethora of different styles of football. Some teams are desperate to play great football but haven't got the stones to do it, the minerals to do it. Some teams play pragmatic when they could be playing more advanced or progressive. Other teams play counter-attacking. Other teams play tiki-taka. It's a complete hosh-posh of different systems. And how experienced is someone like Julian Nagelsmann at taking on those different systems that don't really exist too frequently in Germany? We have to see. There's a risk there. In any event, Company yesterday was the favourite. But then today it emerges that actually, according to some reports, not that there's any quotes to go on, but that if he was offered the job, he would reject it anyway. He doesn't want to touch Tottenham. And so his odds fell out this morning and went more out towards 6-1. And Luis Enrique's came in. And he is the now new story, the new favourite. Because according to reports this morning, Luis Enrique is going to have talks with Tottenham and have talks with Chelsea as well over the next week or so, with a view to maybe managing one of either Tottenham or Chelsea. And I saw on Twitter how funny Chelsea and Tottenham fans all kind of agreeing with each other that it would be typical of both clubs to end up employing the wrong manager that wouldn't suit either club, and the other club getting the manager that would. So Enrique is by far a better fit for Chelsea than he is for Tottenham. He wants to play tiki-taka football. He has a squad of players at Chelsea that are capable of doing it. Young, technical, talented players. They have all the ingredients to make a Michelin star meal at Chelsea. They just don't have the chef to do it. Not Frank Lampard nor Graham Potter were suitable for that system or for those types of players, or to find the recipe to create chemistry, to forge relationships soon enough to appease the fans and to appease Todd Boehly. Nagelsmann may or may not work at Chelsea, but for sure you'd think that Enrique is the right guy to be able to take that squad and create free-flowing, brilliantly technical football that will keep everybody happy and generate success or relative success at the same time. If Enrique was to come to Tottenham, in all honesty, you're looking at a squad of players that right now, with the right manager, we would only really need 4 players. A goalkeeper, a top-class centre-back, a creative player, and maybe, as I've said before, a monster number 6 that could complete the spine. And then if you figure out the future of Harry Kane and then 1 or 2 forwards in, you could be doing something. But even the players that you want to keep at Tottenham, I don't think would work very well under an Enrique system. I don't think Sonny would be able to play that. I don't even think Harry Kane would be superb for a tiki-taka style with the high press. Decky, not entirely convinced about. Bentancur would probably be able to do it. But Højbjerg, no chance. Skippy, no chance. Those players are capable and competent enough for certain systems, but not others. So for me, Enrique, I think, makes absolutely zero sense unless Enrique has a different style of football that we haven't seen him utilise because he hasn't needed to in the past. I think that's unlikely. And once again, I don't want to see the same mistakes repeated of bringing in high brand, high caliber managers who then expect the squad to pivot and adapt to his system. I would like to have a system where the manager and the squad somewhat suit each other, and that there are synergies of the relationship. And in an ideal world where you don't have to replace 70% of the squad to give the guy what he needs, I think that there's far better suited managers like Poch, like Company, like Nagelsmann that could work with the majority of what we have and get more from them than the previous managers have gotten. But that also Daniel Levy would then have to put his hand in his pocket and find 200 million quid in order to achieve those ends. So for me, like I say, horses for courses, square peg, round holes. I don't want to go through that again. For me personally, I'd love to see Nagelsmann come in. I'd love to see Poch. I'd love to see Vincent Kompany. I think that Enrique is it just doesn't make any sense to me. Let me know your thoughts if it makes any sense to you. But apparently talks are scheduled for this week keep you updated on that one. In other news, guys, we know we spoke about a few players that maybe are on the Tottenham transfer news list or the short list for the summer. We talked about Pedro Goncalves, who plays anywhere across the left, right, or centre of the in the creative role, but does like to hang out on the left-hand side. And we spoke about Ansu Fati, and that Tottenham are maybe willing to pay 90 million quid record signing for Ansu Fati, which to me was bonkers. I don't even think the player's that great, but those were the rumours. Well, the only way it really made sense to me to hear any of those things happening was if there's a scenario where Sonny departs the club, because we've already seen this season that Sonny plays even when he shouldn't. And but for what it's worth, I'm delighted to see his form start to come back in a little bit now since Conte's gone. He's starting to get a bit more confident, and it's brilliant to see. It's fantastic to see him back to playing his old dangerous style of football again. But he said after the game that he's got 3 or 4 more years in him to be able to, and I'm paraphrasing here, 3 or 4 more years in his career to be able to close the gap on Tottenham's goal scoring record books, players that currently sit above him in the list, which to me, you can infer from that there's no chance that he's leaving this summer. And of course it makes sense. Why would Daniel Levy want to get rid of a cash cow like him, who's ultimately having, I think, an off season? I don't think that's difficult to say, but still a fantastic, brilliant player, one of my favourites in the squad. So if he's not going anywhere, and even when he plays badly he's never really rested or rotated too often, then why on earth would Tottenham be looking at bringing in a very expensive club record signing player who plays off the left? Doesn't make any sense. So I think we can categorically wah-wah the Ansu Fati story. I'm not entirely sure you want to completely wah-wah the Goncalves story, because he's very dynamic and fluid. He can play across all three, and is just as good in the centre or on the right as he is on the left. So I'd still love to see him come in as well. But I do think that it looks like Sonny's going to be here, so that's good news. It's good news. Right, guys, that's it for me. Let's hope and see where we go from here. I don't want to see Enrique, but let me see what you think about the situation. Who is your number one choice? Is it Poch? Is it Company? Is it Nagelsmann? Is it Brendan Rodgers? Let me know, guys. Nothing else to say. I will see you tomorrow. And as always, bye-bye.